intro, AMA, and a recent sale for $6 million of I've been a business owner in some form since 1997. My first business was web hosting and web development. I didn't know it at the time, but perhaps one of the worst businesses to be in. Low margins, low barrier to entry, and you need to respond to tech support 24/7. In December 2009 I got sick of developing and hosting websites for other customers. Two of them at the time was Comedy Central and Thought Catalog. I was stressed out, burnt out and looking to do something else. I felt unappreciated by my customers for the long hours and what I thought was low revenue for the work. Something at that time just snapped for me. I had my FCK this event even though I already owned a business for many years. I couldn't deal with the high workload and the stress of customer support. I got to thinking, why can't I develop a site for myself and generate revenue from the visitors? At the time, I was doing somewhat okay financially and had all my ducks in a row. I was looking for a website that could help speak to me about investing, but more the advanced topics. Money Magazine and Suze Orman weren't cutting it and I was way more advanced than that. I couldn't find a site that fit my needs. So I figured I would create one myself and named it InvestorJunkie. So while somewhat self-serving, I also had plenty of experience to talk about investing. Plus I figured I could use it to showcase the technology used to develop and maintain it. It could be used as a selling point for my web development and design. My thinking was I would monetize via affiliate marketing. I saw a few other websites doing it and doing quite well. In 2008, the website Bankaholic sold for $15 million to Bankrate. They made their money only with affiliate links. My thoughts were, why couldn't that also be me? This little skunkworks operation turned into a business unto itself after 2 years into it. It started generating more revenue and was much more profitable than my original business. Fast forward to July 2018, I sold InvestorJunkie for $6 million. About 3 years prior, I read MJ's first book and even with my years of business experience got a lot out it. He confirmed many of my existing beliefs of owning a business and organized it in a way much better than I ever could. MJ's books gave me more direction and helped keep me more focused on the ball. So thanks for this. To celebrate the sale I bought one thing. Ever since I was around 8 years old I saw my first Porsche Turbo in the Hamptons and fell in love with the car. I always wanted one. So I bought a 2015 991.1 Turbo S as a little present for me. It was purely symbolic. I could have afforded it long ago, but I figured I needed some reward after all the long days and stresses of owning a business. So what's next? I really don't know. While exciting, also nervous, as I typically have a clear direction of what I would do next. I have some ideas but joined this forum to look at other business ideas. Thanks for the welcome and thanks for your books. Congrats and welcome to the forum. What is your plan for the future? Congrats on the sale and welcome to the forums. Having experience with both investing and running online business. What are your thoughts on using websites and online businesses as complements to traditional investment portfolios? Obviously, there is a higher learning curve for investing in websites versus stocks and ETFs, aka high risk, but given the attractive valuations of websites and online businesses, I think it's a fascinating concept if you have the skills and enough knowledge to keep a website performing consistently. Have you considered rolling some of those sale proceeds into a more passive online business? Welcome to the forum. Great and inspiring intro. Marking notable, way to kill it. Glad to have had a small part of it. So yes, what's the plan now? Repeat. Semi-retire? Go on a long holiday? Like what? I've never found a truly passive online business. Even my web hosting business, which also is now on the selling block, wasn't completely passive. Phenomenal results. Welcome to the forum. Hey MJ, I could technically retire with this sale and my existing assets already. But entrepreneurship is like a disease and plan on never formally retiring. I like to think businesses are the adult version of Lego. I've realized I'm great at being the visionary and I do execute well, but don't like when a business becomes mundane and needs much more people, sort of what your situation was. Having loads of employees sucks. My plans so far, I have some specific new biz ideas but don't want to discuss them yet. I don't think they are fully gelled and don't want to publicly commit on a forum these ideas. At least not yet. I also may not want to do any of them and go off in a completely different direction. Not sure yet, and that is my dilemma. Yeah, I know, first world problems. The question I have for you MJ and others in my situation is, what did you do next? Since you obviously went through this period MJ, you have the unique privilege as well. Did you have a period of unknowing what you wanted to do next? Or did you know that this site and books were always in the cards? I joined this site to at least seek other like-minded individuals and see what ideas others are working on to help perhaps stir my creative juices as well. Also, I have loads of online experience, investment experience and a talent stack of writing, tech guru, SEO, SEM, and affiliate marketing. Seeing if I could help anyone who needs help in those areas. Thanks. Wow, 6M, congrats. I could technically retire with this sale and my existing assets already. But entrepreneurship is like a disease and plan on never formally retiring. I like to think businesses are the adult version of Lego. I love this quote. It's essentially like building the model after you've followed the instructions. The real fun begins after, because that's when the restraints are taken away and you can build whatever your imagination desires. Congratulations on your success. Welcome to the asylum. Congrats on the exit. Guys like us, we don't retire. Very cool story. Glad to see you here. Nice car BTW2. My thought on what to do next is that now you can really ask yourself, if you had $100 million in the bank, what would you do? You've got some pocket change to really follow that answer. I ask myself that all the time, and I figure out that I'm actually doing it, but to a much smaller scale. Congratulations, I don't think it was a mistake. If you had created a personal brand instead of the InvestorJunkie brand, it's very possible you wouldn't have been able to sell it for the same multiple. Also, thanks to not putting yourself in the spotlight, you could maintain your privacy. Give yourself some time. Don't rush it. Appreciate what you have now. Switch your focus from business interests to health and non-business passions. Share your knowledge. With your experience, you can contribute a lot to this forum and feel productive without jumping back into another business prematurely. I'm still figuring it out myself, but I've learned that the most important part is to learn to feel okay taking things easy. You've worked hard to get to this point, so now you can afford to slow down a little and get back to work when you're 100% convinced about your new project. Don't freak out when you start feeling a void in your life or even get depressive thoughts. It's a normal part of the process that I think everybody who has achieved financial independence has to go through. S question is really cool. I'm going to explore my own answers to it, too. Yeah, I've seen a few other friends sell in this space and I agree. I'm saying I should have created them in parallel and separate from each other. Wow. If you wrote all of the articles that have your byline, then you are an epic writer. Nice work and congrats. It is interesting to see that you feel like the finance space still has a lot of openings. That is where there is money to be made blogging, but the competition is fierce. Were you approached to sell or did you put your site on the market? I wrote most, but there are many other writers and editors. Many of my original reviews and article have been updated by others. The personal finance space is easier than my previous business of web hosting. Much easier. I think there's still money to be made because many of the sites are horrible, plus it's not just great writing that makes a site special. Otherwise, my friend from college who wanted to be the next Stephen King would have been rich already. There needs to be a great UI or UX experience and functionality to add value for the reader. Most are horrible in the execution of their idea. Plus this isn't Field of Dreams. Build it and they certainly will not come. I was approached. Though there is a leading firm named Founders who specializes in these types of sites and could have easily used them to sell. I had an active interest in investing when I created InvestorJunkie. I didn't care about getting out of debt websites, which most personal finance blogs are about. When I started, I never really thought about why that was the case though. I think InvestorJunkie, while is great and still can grow, is somewhat limited in size because it focused only on investing. Whereas debt-based sites typically do much more revenue if executed right. They generate much more traffic and have a mass appeal audience. It's great InvestorJunkie is being pulled in with other websites, so they can sell ad and affiliate revenue to a much bigger pool of readers. NerdWallet comes to mind and their $60 million in annual revenues from last count. While they compete in the investment review space with me, most of their revenue comes from debt refinancing. I can estimate their investment revenue is around $2-3 million a year if that. Recently another site was sold, Student Loan Hero, for $60 million. A site to help students refinance their student debt. My theory of why this is the case is because our economy is debt-based. Our society is massively in debt and most don't have much money to invest. Therefore you are limited by how much traffic you can generate compared to a debt-based website. As a business, debt-based businesses credit card company are much more profitable than investment-based businesses brokerage firm. Which makes me actively wonder if I should focus on something in that space for my next business venture. Yes. I noticed this is what you do very well. I really like your sidebar navigation components. Thanks. Everything on the site has a purpose and nothing in the layout is by accident. Layout, button locations, colors, lack of ads, what's clickable or not, etc. etc. All this affects UX and can affect SEO or SERP as well. All of this was tested by looking at Google Analytics data, through another analytic tool, heat maps and recording of users visiting the site. Did metrics we monitor improve or get hurt by the changes made? I suggest studying my site very closely for similar verticals. Obviously what worked on my site may not in your vertical, as I found some determined truths with UX or UI didn't apply to our site. Your mileage may vary, but it's a great case study. What I regret most after selling my first company was not doing something big with a specific end in mind. I launched some sites and did more of what I was doing at the time in another vertical due to a non-compete and made good money doing it. However, it wasn't a long-term play. That's where I messed up. I had the resources, knowledge and capital to do something remarkable and instead I thought way too small because I had a nice comfortable bank account and no expenses. So, my advice would be, once you realize what it is that you really want to do, go big. Set yourself a plan to reach your next level of FU money if that's what you want and execute relentlessly. Good luck. Interesting. I've always thought it would be useful to have a tool that will tell you which credit card you should pay off first. I remember having 5 to 6 credit cards that all had balances and I wouldn't know which one to focus on since I forgot the interest rates on each card. Love this. This post is so authentic that I can tell from this simple message that you are the real deal. So I sold a company back in October, and I'm just working through the balance of my engagement with the new owners. While the money was okay, it was not game over money. The next business I build will be legacy money. Legacy in terms of how I can make the world a better place with it, and how I can have something significant to leave to future generations. We're way too young to take much more than 6 months off. Good luck. You won't make it a month. I have several irons in the fire already. When started building his current business, he realized he could scale much faster due to his existing war scars. I just cut the check for my first investment in a new venture, and that check equals what I spent the entire first year on the business I built and sold. I get to cut the corners and accelerate into a bigger build. Congrats on your sale. Take some time to have fun and drive the car. Then sell the car and go build again. This time, make it permanent. Some great responses here. Thread upgraded to gold. I viewed it as an opportunity to pursue passions and projects with money as a secondary consideration. When money is taken care of, you can truly follow your passion without respect to market dynamics. Is there a need? How do I monetize? Etc. I've always wanted to write. So I started writing on financial independence because financial independence was giving me the opportunity to write what I wanted, not what the market necessarily wanted. Plus, having a message that I was passionate about and truly feeling that it needed to be heard also contributed, hence, the evolution of this forum. Freedom from debt and bills gives you some latitude to take bigger risks and accept less profit if need be on things that are more important to you, rather than the market. What you do next really depends on how you see yourself in 1 year, 5, and 10. If want to own a private jet, you're going to have to rinse and repeat. I don't really know what I want next is the biggest question. I still need some soul searching on this. I haven't seen a problem that I want to solve. What I'm trying to do more of is forget about any real or preconceived limits I may think I have. What problem could I solve if I had no limits? Is the question I keep asking. It isn't so much the money other than keeping score. I mean, I've even considered maybe I'll get some VC and using someone else's money to build something much bigger than I could do myself. But would I be happy? I don't know, as on one hand, it would be challenging. Yet I would get more into operations, would have to deal with more employees. I don't think the right question is what problem should I solve next. It's what do I want to do? It doesn't have to solve a problem. You could want to build boats or end tables. Welcome to the forum and congratulations on your sale. I love your quote about entrepreneurship as Lego for adults. Ha ha. I think a true entrepreneur never retires. Always finding joy in creating new ventures. On what to do next. Take your time. This is a good opportunity to search for something meaningful. Some questions that can help you in your quest. What kind of do you want in your life, and what kind of things or activities will provide you with that emotions? What is your? What do you like people would say about you on your burial? What is your? The thing that drives you mad and you would like to change in the world for better. What are your? What activities could help you expand those limits? On what books to read, along with MJ books, I've enjoyed a lot lately from Felix Dennis. A very honest book, IMHO, that has given me a new perspective on the pursuit of riches and the perils of it. Maybe this shows an opportunity to launch a coaching program to help people who have reached all their goals and now don't know what to do with their lives. Congrats and welcome. Just linking a similar 7-figure exit success thread posted last month that went a bit under the radar. I hope doesn't mind me linking. Yes, I read that book. Great book, but not exactly a guy I want to follow since he's dead. Though his best quote is, "If it flies, floats, or FCKS. Rent it." I'll have to contact him since I think term life does have some opportunities as well. Thanks. If it's okay to ask, how did you acquire those big name clients in your hosting business? Great question. Word of mouth, and been developing websites for many Fortune 500 companies, for the firms I worked for since 1994. I don't think I would be able to acquire those same clients today. Too much competition and not enough respect and understanding of quality work in that space. This is an important quote for all those people who get imposter syndrome. You weren't a hedge fund manager or VP of a global bank, but rather it would appear you were great at connecting with people and had real-world personal investment experience. I only say this because it took me about a year to get over my own fear of thinking I couldn't talk about a subject I actually knew better than most. Congrats. A peer-to-peer lending website such as Prosper or Lending Club, would you consider them to be a debt-based business? Or maybe hybrid? Great example. Debt, since that is how they make their money. They really don't make money from investors like myself other than connecting the borrower. From the affiliate side, the payouts were 4x better for the debt and always cultivated websites. Where the investor side they really ignored and had enough interest. I didn't know that Prosper or Lending Club didn't charge a fee to investors. In Mexico, the peer-to-peer lending websites also charge investors a % fee on the interest. 1% to 2% is the average, I would say, returned, and in case the loan went delinquent, a % fee for recovery. No, they do, but only %1 or annually to the investors. They make most of their income in the loan origination. We're all on the path. Very interesting story. Highly reminiscent of mine. Your Fundrise review page is awesome. Curious if you would provide some feedback on my new site. I started it before I sold my last one, so I was able to carve out some exclusions in the non-compete 2 years just like yours. Sure, PM me if you don't want to be known. Congrats to you and beautiful car. I'm very happy to see you've got the bug. I never understood the mindset of an entrepreneur combined with a traditional retirement. Shut it all down and sell everything. It's time to live on savings until I die. No thanks. Great to have you here and looking forward to reading your posts as you take this journey further. Congratulations. That's not really the point of in life. It's about freedom and expressing yourself without the constraint of money. I consider myself semi-retired but haven't sold anything and certainly don't live a frugal lifestyle. My lifestyle hasn't changed, if anything, it has elevated. Retired in a sense, not the live cheap aspect, is simply the opportunity to do whatever you want, without having to worry about money, or market viability. For me that was writing, which actually doesn't cost a lot of money as a passion and has the opportunity to make dollar. If my passion was something more expensive, I probably wouldn't be running a forum and writing $15 books. Not sure about that. The website is very well done. Congrats to you. Oh yay, and thank you for the plug here. Thanks. Was waiting for you to find this reference. Larry, I see you work with Bankrate. I've been a partner of theirs since 2011. Did you ever attend any of their affiliate conferences at the Breakers? If so, we have likely met or crossed paths several times. At the one a few years ago where they had just acquired for 50+, they spoke for a while about the senior living and senior care sector and why it is going to be a huge boom moving forward, baby boomers getting old, etc. I've often thought about doing a site in that niche. Money to be made for sure in the same model. Actually just started working with them soon before I sold. I never went to their conferences. Bankrate is a shell of what it used to be. Nerd Wallet ate their lunch in the online space. Bankrate certainly has had a few M&A missteps. Bankaholic for $15 million in 2008. I think with Red Ventures acquiring Bankrate is a good thing. Retirement and seniors is a huge area to focus on and have it on my list of ideas. Yeah? They used to be huge in the space and have since changed models. Most of the people I worked closely with and became friends with left or were replaced. Those conferences were a blast though. Too bad you didn't see them in their heyday. Totally understood and agree completely. I absolutely know you still have your hand in these things. That was kind of my point. You are not traditionally retired where you downsize your life and live off savings. There is, however, a faction of the entrepreneur community that still looks toward a scripted retirement of sell everything, shut it down and live of savings. I know a few like that. That to me is an unfortunate path to choose. Passivity is really the key on that. Build a business where you can replace yourself and still grow. Own enough real estate by then that 6 or 7 figures roll in annually. Things like that. I think it depends on your motivation. Did you start your business? Do you keep running your business to make money to pay the bills? Well, then it's a job. You probably want to quit it just like you would with any job you don't care about. Retirement sounds like heaven, even though you probably won't have as much money as you'd like. But if you launched businesses because you can't not create them, that's not a job. That's a passion. Maybe an obsession. LOL, you're not going to stop feeding your passion just because you don't need the money anymore. I had a passion business about 20 years ago. Worked on it until 1 to 2 a.m. most nights, for a couple of years. Built it up until I was this close to a huge payout, and then the world changed and the whole thing imploded. Never managed to recreate the business success, and sadly I never managed to recreate the passion either. So the work I've done since then, while self-employed and nicely profitable, is basically a job. I do it to pay the bills. I'd much rather be passionate about what I'm doing, but I don't know how to put the lightning back in the bottle. Gary, I just want to encourage you. I have always been tuned into your posts over the years and highly respect what you have to say on a number of topics. Despite what you may think of yourself, I truly believe you've still got it. You have the lightning, it's in the bottle, use it or don't. I hope you do. Wow, you're my hero. Seriously, I love Thought Catalog and tried for years to find a WP theme similar to it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one. I checked the source and it wasn't a WP site, which was a bummer. Anyways, thanks for sharing. How open would you say the debt market is for disruption? I've never ventured into personal finance. Could you peel back the curtain a bit, of course without exposing any opportunities you might be looking at for yourself? This book might be able to help you upgrade your questions and find what you really want to do. I can't relate to your current situation, but from what I've seen, a lot of successful entrepreneurs around me have lost their personalities on their pursuit to wealth. I notice that once those entrepreneurs have retaken an old hobby or started pursuing something that meaningfully impacts society, their eyes light up again. I hope that helps in some way. As CEO of InvestorJunkie, I presume you received a lot of cold emails, calls, in-mails etc. requesting for your business. I'm a young salesman and I'm interested in hearing about what kind of cold outreaches got your attention. Did the messaging tend to be short and to the point? Did they address an immediate or potential problem your business might face? Were the subject lines catchy or formal? Or is it too difficult to say what kind of messaging got your attention because it varied so greatly? Most were ignored and went into the bid bucket. Why? Because they are now automated web form submission systems. You have to be offering something of value before asking for something is my suggestion. Bought it on Audible. Ludwig, please reread my initial message. I made an edit briefly after posting my original message that you may find useful. Also, as a CEO, what is something that you'd consider to be valuable? A summary of your competitors' weaknesses? A personal story of my experience as an InvestorJunkie user along with suggestions on how my experience can be improved. A case study of how my business helped another business or competitor. Do you recall any memories when someone made you go, wow, that was actually valuable, he's got my attention? Thank you. Congrats. I love reading these types of threads on how people worked and finally achieved what they worked so hard for attain. I myself have been lurking a lot lately and trying so many different things lately within my business. Wow, that was very inspirational and most definitely fast lane. Wow, this is a great story. I hope you don't mind, but I have a couple of questions. I am slowly learning about online businesses and I was actually thinking of doing something similar but for Australian investing where I am from, and as I can see from InvestorJunkie you have a few reviews on some products that you chose for different categories. Now I am wondering, how did you manage to get the products reviews and links to site? Are they the affiliate links you are talking about? And with the reviews for Autobot, did you test them yourself? Really, any advice would be great. Autobot. We tested all the services ourselves in-house. Most are affiliate links that we either had via some network or specifically contacted them and sold them on the idea of affiliate marketing. Don't be afraid to contact their marketing department, especially fintech startups, since they are wanting other channels of revenue. Awesome, thanks mate, you have actually given me an idea for Australia. I will start off simple though. Haha, sorry, I had no idea you would be roped into an unofficial AMA. Thank you for responding to May of the forum's questions. Rep plus PS. Can I edit the thread title to include your company name and so it is more descriptive? MJ, first of all I would like to thank you for your books and this forum ! Secondly, if I was to create a site and to explain certain things I used passages from your book, is that okay if I state that these explanations came from you? For example, investing in index funds rather than putting money in mutual funds. Maybe even place a link to your books. Sure, no problem on both counts. If you want me to do an AMA on a specific topic, I'm open to this as well. I'm now reading and I think you'll find it valuable just to explore various retirement options, not necessarily having to do with business. Congratulations on completing your process and creating an event. Do you have any recommendations to learn SEO online? There are a couple that I have found while reading other posts. Thank you. In my opinion, this is basic shit. SEO is much more complex than what is described in these tutorials. These tricks really applied much more so a few years ago. While technical SEO is important, it is easy to understand. Today I would recommend reading Google search guidelines. Read it. Then read it again. Study it. Know it. Google uses the data from their manual raters to create into algo form. You must show IT expertise, authority, trust, especially if you email your money, or your life like I was in. Once you read Google's doc, these types of articles will make more sense to you then. SEO, like the sale of my business, isn't an event in itself but a process. It's typically a long game of at least 1 to 2 years before you get a decent payoff. Hope this helps. Thank you for the quick response and recommendation. This sure does help. I will start reading it and learn it and get back to you to learn more. I understand. Thank you. Hi, congratulations for the sale and thanks for answering the many questions. If you don't mind sharing, can you tell us how was your site valued? Roughly what TTM multiple did you get? I understand if you don't want to share, but I would really love to know. I have a tech website which makes a little bit which I could potentially scale. However, I am always in a dilemma whether to invest my full time to it. I have another separate business which does decently, so I am always postponing working on this site. A rough idea of how much I could potentially sell this for might just be the motivation I need. Thanks. Per my NDA, I cannot disclose the multiple. It depends upon the site and other factors as well. There are companies that can help in valuation, but ultimately it is whatever someone wants to pay. Yes, I thought that might be in the NDA, but thanks anyways. Inspirational, thank you. First of all, congratulations. $6 million for an informational website is really great. Too short question. Are the pre-sale traffic numbers of InvestorJunkie also covered by the NDA? And did you really only monetize through affiliate marketing? I can't discuss the numbers. Awesome job. Really digging your UI on some custom pages. You guys are seriously above the fold compared to a lot of benchmarks. Not sure if this is appropriate or not, but was this bred to sell from the beginning? If not, can you comment on why you guys didn't delve into product creation to inch up on the totem pole a bit, instead of just relying on third-party monetization? I see other peer-to-peer or investing or similar vertical blogs doing fairly well by offering products and services. Curious if this is something you experimented with and it didn't go well, or just wasn't part of your master plan from the get-go. If that isn't something you'd prefer to talk about, how about these two? Thanks for doing the thread, excellent job with the site. Thanks. Actually did consider it, but it's really a much different business. The question I asked was, do I keep doing what we are doing or should I lock in those gains and start a new business? I obviously chose the latter. Based upon the competition, SEO for this space is much harder than when I started. With now companies like the Wirecutter and the Motley Fool entering this space, plus with the company acquired InvestorJunkie owning first, second and third position search position, it is becoming increasingly harder to compete. Some push notifications, social media including messaging are the way to go. Though for affiliate marketing in most cases SEO is a cheaper alternative. Otherwise with paid ads you are playing an arbitrage game. Though on the plus side it's easy to turn on and turn off and no immediate results if you are hanging your ladder on the right wall. I also regret not building my personal brand at the same time. I built InvestorJunkie as a brand because I did not want to have myself tied to it so it could be sold. In retrospect, I should have built my personal brand in parallel. It's hard with some mediums, you have no choice but need a personal voice, video, email, podcast, social media, etc. Unfortunately, starting from scratch in my new ventures, even if it's not in the same space, it would be nice to have built that up and some of my raving fans would have come with me to my new businesses. Focused on user experience and adding value for the reader.Thanks. And how is it going? Working on a new business or just enjoying your transition phase? Still in a transition with the website. Still planning out what's next. Though did rent a new office space starting Jan 1st. I needed a view that was inspiring and got a window with a view. I know I want to do videos with the new business, so I also wanted something more than a white background. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing your story. This whole thread is inspirational and helps me realize that it can be done. For me, identifying my core principle was the key, the one thing that makes me most happy and must have in my life. In my case, my core principle is freedom. I need to be option rich. I keep that in mind and move forward in a way that complements my core principle and stay true to that. Congratulations on your success. I am benefiting greatly from this thread. Thank you. Love the Lego for adults analogy. Okay, starting to build my personal brand. Want to learn more about me? I'm of course in the very early stages of creating my site, but plan on at least starting to do consulting for others with affiliate marketing. I list some of the tools I've used over the years. I also plan on discussing tricks or tips on affiliate marketing. Plus plan on some courses in the future. Sign up to my mailing list and I'll let you know when new stuff becomes available. This is at least one of my possible sources of future revenue, among others. Going the multiple streams of income route. Visit. Question that you probably know: what is the terminology for an affiliate program that you implement at the registration page? Click here to be sent an offer by XYZ company. I know it's done a lot in the financial space, but for the life of me I cannot remember the official term. Rigorous? Yup. Hey MJ, can you give me an example? I'm not sure I understand the question. You mean the redirection page on my site? That says now redirecting you to offer X. I assume you know what the purpose of that page is for? As that's actually a good question to ask and can go into that question. Intermediary page you mean? Not sure you are doing this, but I've heard it is common in the finance space. When people register for your site, at the bottom there is a checkbox that says, would you like to receive a free report from XYZ company on the best mutual funds? When someone clicks the checkbox, they're already registering for your service. You get paid because they opted in for the free report. That's a lead for the free report company. You're affiliating for the free report company and they pay you $1 for each registration lead. There's terminology for this type of arrangement beyond affiliate program which I can't remember. Also Mixergy had a podcast with a dude in the financial space who was doing it, and was making a killing on it. I've been unable to recall either. I think you're talking about co-registration, co-reg. Yes, and there. It is from 2015 and he says he was doing $40,000 or more in co-registration. That's some serious cash for adding a simple form at the end of your email sign-up form. Yes. That's it. Okay, completely different than what I was thinking. Yeah, Investing Channel is the company that popularized this email sign-up. I forget the terminology though. I disliked this technique as I felt it was too spammy. Plus hated Investing Channel as a service, but that's a whole other story. No, I did not do this but considered it. That was popular a few years ago, but I haven't seen anyone do this recently in mass. There was much more money to be made than that way. Emails, in general, I had an issue to monetize. Unlike other niches, investing readers had a very limited lifetime. It was not uncommon for me to completely refresh the list within 1 year. Meaning an email subscriber lasted no longer than a year, if that. Meaning they would get the information they needed and be gone. Sure, they may have and did come back for other topics, but it was to satisfy other specific needs than long-term general education. People just don't have the patience to invest for the long term, and the habits I saw from readers confirmed it as well. A side note: it was very common for individuals to test out 2 robo-advisors and would pick the winner in total returns after 6 months. Zero Hedge is an example on their site since they use Investing Channel. Yup, I couldn't think of the name either. Whoa. Thanks for the insight on the hosting and development industry that you got out of. Funny that I was actually heading down this same path, but you sharing your experience will surely help my journey. Congratulations on your success, and welcome to the forum. Stay far away from hosting. There is more money profit to be made using a hosting provider's affiliate program than doing hosting yourself. Okay, getting to the intermediary page, since that wasn't MJ's question, but it is something I think it's important to understand what the purpose of it is for. It's a temporary page that is seen before going to the vendor's website after clicking on a cloaked affiliate linky. It serves multiple purposes. Wow, really strong insight. This is why I can't wait to sell my first biz, or at least get a biz to the point where it's making an enormous amount of money, more than any material things. I just want the ability to create whatever is in my imagination. I just want enough dollar to be limitless within reason. If I woke up one day and wanted to make the best amusement park ever, I want to have enough dollar to just get on the phone and start calling roller coaster guys lol. Hey Larry, I always read this thread and find myself fascinated by it. I'm interested in how you planned your site out. Was there any particular reason or method to it that worked for you? I checked it out on way back and it looks like it was started as a personal blog, then sort of evolved into what it is today. Was there a method to your soloing, or did you just kind of wing it? Did you do any kind of keyword research or content research prior to launch? Did you focus on any particulars that definitely played a factor in your growth? Thanks. And Value Pension was just acquired for $105 million! 11 or 12x multiple. Another debt-based site mostly. Prior to launch. No, about 2 years in, yes, and that is when you start seeing dramatic changes to the site. But always knew SEO or affiliates was the way to monetize. It took some trial and errors. SEO is about doing something and seeing the result. It's black box testing. Particulars like what? With SEO took to the approach of divide and conquer. Cover one topic in detail and be considered the expert in it, then off to the next section. Ludwig, that is amazing. I have so many business ideas but don't have the financial backing or frankly time that is required to turn them into a success. I can believe you invested in InvestorJunkie, that website is huge. I am wondering what you are interested in now. Are you interested in product-based businesses or service? Do you want to build websites based on market evaluation and then sell them in 2 years for a profit? Sam USA. One official direction I can speak about is creating an affiliate marketing course. Congratulations. Did you sold it through a broker or the buyer contacted you? In this case, they contacted me. Though I knew of a broker and spoke with quite a bit to previously that has done many of the deals in this space. I also knew the buyers of my site have used that broker for other purchases. That was a quick response, I see. Awesome. You saved 10 to 15%, which is a lot of money in this case. I've sold few websites myself in the past, but always through a broker. Good luck in your next ventures. I could have probably gotten a higher offer with a broker, but made more than likely was a wash. I knew relatively what the price was and could negotiate the deal myself. I didn't see what value they could add in this case. If say the deal fell through, they did have a pool of other possible buyers, which then it would have made sense to contact them. For those who care, you can read more about the backstory of my web hosting business. I just shut down that business this month. Can you elaborate a bit more on how you would approach this? I am working on peer-to-peer investing site with future plans to sell it, but I don't want it to be attached to my name. Thank you for your time. Well, for example, I set up and also own the domain. I haven't really built anything out yet, so this is just giving my plans to explain how I'll implement. The focus for will be that brand, and not about me. It will be me and other authors or writers discussing topics about business, whereas my personal brand, the expert, is me and only me. Yes, I lend some street cred to site, but the site will remain really about the brand and not about me personally. If the site were to be sold, it could live on without me, just like InvestorJunkie, on the other hand, is about me and only about me. I am the expert. I may even have others help me with at some point, but the alpha or leader is me. So everything is tied to me and my ability to explain topics and for individual to trust me. For certain services like business consulting, people are looking for their guru to guide them along the way. Same could apply to investment advice, but on InvestorJunkie we avoided specific advice because again I wanted it to be about the brand. There are too many others who did this already and didn't want to get involved with any SEC rules since we weren't registered advisors. Unfortunately, it gets even harder when you do any sort of personalized communication like email, courses, videos and the like. So I don't have an easy answer for this. For some businesses today, IMHO, you have no choice but to intermingle your personal branding with what you are offering. Especially in the digital age. You don't want to be some anonymous blob speaking into the camera. People want to feel like they know you personally at least some level. For example, Tony Robbins is all about Tony Robbins. He could never sell his business and it will pretty much die with a long tail residual though when he dies. My overall point is building both your personal brand known as an expert, some set niches, but also your site brand is known for this as well. Again, that way if or when you sell you aren't starting from scratch like I am. Let's use as an example. Obviously, he has his personal brand and wrote 2 books, but was really separate from him. Was able to be sold without any involvement of him remaining tied to that business. This site there is more intertwined because it's discussing his business philosophy, but it has some value to some possible buyer. There are degrees of separating the owner from the brand. Some biz models are easier than others. For my personal brand, I am building it up with the intent I know I can never sell because I already sold one brand and can live off of those dividends. I'll also build out other brands that are separate from me as well. Again, it depends upon the type of business you are going into. Hope this helps. This is exactly how I had things in my mind. A personal brand, my and other brands connected to my name but not fully depended on it. Just like you, I have an exit plan to sell other websites except my main brand. Thanks for the clarification and the detailed response. Thank you for doing this AMA so far. Could you expand on any of the strategies you used to acquire backlinks from 2,000 referring domains? Was it as simple as just creating the obviously great content and performing large-scale outreach like Home Advisor, for example, to build links? The links came from the great content we created. The first 7 years I did little backlinking work. They mostly came organically. So much to learn from. Thank you. Congrats guys and welcome to the forum. Hello and congratulations for the excellent result. You have 2 questions: 1. How many articles have you published in total? 2. What was the biggest source of traffic to the site? 1. I had around 1,200 articles at the time. 2. SEO. Which professionals did your team form? And what did you do as a technician on the site? Thanks again. I had the second question is too vague. Since this thread is alive again, I just did an interview on a podcast where some of the questions can be answered around SEO and affiliate marketing. So much value in this thread. Congrats on everything and thank you for answering all the questions that have followed. The latest update is I just released my obviously, the target market is content creators, writers, and editors. From my research, they are a market underserved in the courses out there, most of which are only on the technical side of SEO. Since they are writers by very nature, not as technical, but yet need help with SEO and how their content can be found on the internet. Interesting approach. I expected to see your face through some part of the course. You, sir, are an incredibly good executor. That is the number one takeaway I got from this whole deal. Currently listening to the podcast. Amazing story and hope to learn from you. On the VSL I plan on using video of me, but not ready for that yet and wanted to get a version out to test some of the key selling points. Sometimes you just have to ship it, than trying to make it perfect. There are many things I want to add or improve, but let me start with something and get more feedback from my audience. I'm very iterative in my approach to building something. Make constant 1% improvements. As far as the course, IMHO, it's easier to produce a slideshow than live video.Plus. If I can easily change or add or edit sections to improve on it without a big production again. I've already changed sections of the course and it was much quicker. As the course becomes more solidified, I may think about introducing live action video in it. What matters isn't how unique your idea is, but how well you execute on it. Congrats on your big break. Happy for you. I had a question about the website since I want to work on a similar idea for my market. How much content did you have on InvestorJunkie when you sold it? I see it mainly has pages which have tutorials, review, comparisons, etc. What would the number of content pieces pages you had at the time you sold it? I believe we had around 1,300 pages or post at the time of sale. Though don't think that's a KPI I would measure. Thank you. I mainly wanted to get an idea of the work required to get there. I realize it's not directly proportional to it. How much were you making by affiliate commissions at that time? Sorry if this has been asked before. I can't disclose this info because of my NDA agreement. I can disclose I sold for $6 million since that's public info, but can't reveal the monthly revenue the site made as much as I would want to. I see. That's perfectly understandable. Thank you for this thread. Hello Larry, I have one question for you. When you started your site, how did you manage all your internal links? Can you recommend any tools to keep an overview? I have a personal finance site with about 250 articles and I only rely on my memories and feeling to set up the internal link structure. I know that is far from good, so I would appreciate any tips about that. Thank you. Map them in an Excel sheet. Dug into lludwig's course a few days ago and I've been taking notes. I was a little concerned it would be too entry level for me based on the sales page, but I'd already taken notes on all his posts on the forum and was eager to pick his brain a bit more without pestering him for free info. Jumping onto a paid program of his seemed the appropriate way to do that. Plus figured the Facebook group will end up being great value on its own. Anyhow, been through first couple lessons, the content is solid and he has a good style of breaking things down. Even for things I sort of knew already, he always adds a little extra spin that makes it worthwhile, which makes perfect sense given how entrenched he was in his big project the past few years. Looking forward to digging into the next videos. Research is up next and definitely imagine he'll have some solid insights to offer there. No affiliation in case anyone's wondering. Thanks for the comment. Interesting. So you think the landing page is targeting beginners, yet the course you consider mid-level? Obviously, that's a problem in my sales copy then. You're welcome. Yeah, I think some nice juicy bullets would do a good job of offering a bit more info on what's inside too. I'm a copywriter too, so feel free to hit me up via PM if you want me to provide a little no strings attached feedback. You're clearly a solid writer, but sometimes it's tough to see things 100% clearly from the inside looking out. Happy to expand on my thoughts if you like. I didn't do anything special other to manage the linkage. I did use tools to monitor any broken links, but I assume that's not what you are asking. For monitoring links I used WordPress plugin redirection on macOS. I used Integrity Pro. Screaming Frog is another one as well. Thank you for your fast reply. My question lead to confusions. I will try it again. It is not about the internal linking per se, it is more about the funnels. How do you overlook all the different funnels? Let me give you an example. The first page for a new reader may be, what are stocks, that leads to how to buy stocks, which leads to how to open a brokerage account, and after that he goes to one of the reviews or comparisons. How do you handle these funnels and organize these funnels with more than 1.000 different articles? Do you know what I mean? Yes, I understand. No, I didn't manually map them out in any system. Though I did have the popular ones tracked in my analytics service Plus I could have a journey report showing me the popular paths a visitor took to a conversion. Attached is a sample journey report for a customer of mine. If you were to start a project of a similar scope like InvestorJunkie today, how would you decide which project to pursue? Awesome, thank you. It would look at the marketplace and determine where are there opportunities available. Wow, really cool site and content. You clearly deserve the success you've reached, and thank you for sharing your experience with us. If you don't mind my asking, what tech stack do you use to build InvestorJunkie? And can you share any insights from that perspective for the more technically inclined? Thanks. A long list of tech. Some custom developed. What specifically do you want to know about? For the custom work, we built it out to help aid in maintaining the content on the website. Each review stored the metadata for the service, so only in one place did we need to update the content. Everywhere else on the site automatically updated to reflect this new information. I guess I would start out how much interest is in that said topic, but doing keyword research in Ahrefs and Google Trends. I would figure out how the popularity of the topic from SEO tools, but doesn't mean I would only focus on SEO. It would be more of a zeitgeist. Bump, I'm on another podcast and go into more detail about how I monetized and tracked affiliate links at InvestorJunkie. How you got traffic to your site. Any tips on getting free organic traffic? See my AMA on SEO. If you have a specific question, ask it there. Hey Larry, have you noticed the new owners of InvestorJunkie have changed the theme of the site? From an SEO perspective, why do you think they would switch to a theme, a forest theme, knowing that the business had been built on user experience, speed, conversion, etc.? Why would they spend $6 million on a site and take the risk on hurting the evolution of the site? To be honest, I think it hurts the value a little bit and could also hurt SERPs. I thought this question might benefit future website buyers. Thoughts? Yes, I am aware, and no, I have no public comment. I'll take a private comment, lol. After seeing what the company did to my business after I sold it, this sentiment sounds oddly familiar. I can understand that. If you care to elaborate, I wanted to ask some questions regarding SEO for 2020. The landscape to rank is definitely changing and it's becoming harder in my opinion to get on page 1. Plus, Google is doing a better job keeping users on their site as opposed to sending them off. Also, I'm seeing more snippets, Q&A, videos, paid ads on page 1 and less review-type pages ranking. What are your thoughts on all this and how would you approach SEO in starting a new site with a small team and a small budget in 2020? It seems like a lot of factors and checkboxes are coming into play with no guarantee Google will reward you. Why take the gamble and hope that Google recognizes you? In regards to keyword research, do you focus more on search volume or click-through data? Just wondering, as an SEO yourself, how do you see search ranking changing going into 2020? Thoughts? Sure, in fact, I recently discussed some of my thoughts on a recent article on my site about the trends for the next 10 years. You should mix them with SEO IMHO. That's not to say you should ignore SEO, just the fact you have to pay to play at least some level for some keywords. YouTube is another area that's still ripe for plucking with SEO. So I would do a multi-channel approach. Schema is becoming more important and should be using it. Though like you said can be a double-edged sword. In some cases, it's shown that showing in featured snippets can decrease the center of SERP. So it should create an open loop in which it causes people to want to click and not completely solve their problem. Even though Google may want that at some level. So add value but don't give away everything. In many cases Google's snippets can't do it or and the person must click to the source website. Though for something like a recipe or some question and answer in the case of voice search then that might be all that's needed. Neither. It's intent. It's always been important and now even more so. What matters is quality over quantity. I want the right people to visit my site. What matters is with the keyword where are they along the sales funnel journey. I always use this example. What is a mortgage compared to best mortgage rate is a much different intent and much further along in the sales funnel journey. So don't hit the visitor with mortgage rates for what is a mortgage. They are much earlier in the sales funnel process so you can't be so transactional. In fact, Google will penalize you for this.